This week on the Cynical Optimists,
It's Spidey versus the Avengers in our film awards.
it's Spidey versus Mario in our Game Awards.
And can Henry Cavill continue to win the Best Facial Expression Award? Hello and welcome to the Cynical Optimists Awards 2018. I'm Phill.
And I am Nick.
And this is the most prestigious award show of the year. More prestigious than the Game Awards. Better than the Oscars.
Yeah.
Golden Joystick Awards. Forget about it. These are the awards that mean something.
And here to present, it's Kevin Hart! Kevin?
Oh, he's already stood down.
Oh.
That's a new record.
I think he heard about my sexuality.
Yeah, no, he only agreed to do it about 30 seconds ago, and now he's already stepped down, so
Yeah.
he doesn't have to change.
Did you have a good Christmas?
It was nice. It's very relaxing.
Good.
I managed to spend a whole week not making controversial statements or jokes, and then 30 seconds into recording. It always happens. Anyway, yeah, it's been a lovely Christmas. How was yours?
Yeah, it's very, very pleasant, thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, that's where the pleasantries end.
Because it's serious now.
Serious business giving out awards.
Exactly.
You can't just make up the nominees on the spot. You can't just be sat around, feet up on the desk, trying to remember what you watched or played that year. We've been planning for this show since January. Yeah.
At the earliest, yeah.
Yeah. January 2017. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, we've got a good number of categories we'll be going through in the same order as previous years.
Where we start with the more important ones.
We start with the most important award, which is Best Facial Expression.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work our way down the list to the least important awards. So this is stuff like Best Game, Best Film, Best TV Show. Those are at the bottom. So yeah, if this is the first time listening to the awards, we hope you enjoy. But let's get going.
Best Facial Expression.
The award for Best Facial Expression is presented by Nick Morton.
We got one nominee this year.
One nominee who I feel that we kept as a nominee just so we could keep having this award each
This category, exactly.
And believe it or not, it's the nominee is
Henry Cavill's angry moustache face in Mission Impossible.
And that's the nominee. I don't know who's going to win this. I think it could be anyone's.
It could be anyone. It's anyone's. So yeah, obviously this is the famous moustache that was digitally removed for last year.
For Justice League.
Yeah.
And actually that digital removal did win him this award last year.
It did indeed. But the real moustache is back and he's got a pretty angry face to match.
This is Mr. Cavill's third nomination for this award.
And the winner is... It's Henry Cavill for his angry moustache face!
Oh my god.
In Mission Impossible Fallout.
Congratulations to Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
He's now got 3 of these awards.
They keep getting returned though.
Yeah, it's recipient no longer lives at this address. Which is weird.
We just put Henry Cavill on the envelope and then just put it in the post and hope it gets there.
So here's hoping that the Witcher Netflix series has some good facial expressions.
Yes.
So that we can continue to have him on this list and this award. Don't want to break the streak now. The award for Best Expansion to a Video Game. The nominees are A Hat in Time, Seal the Deal.
Battlefront 2, the Clone Wars content.
And PS4 Spider-Man's A City That Never Sleeps. Or The City That Never Sleeps.
The City That Never Sleeps. Part of is it a 3-part DLC?
Yeah.
You have watched some Let's Play of it.
So have you not interacted with the...
I haven't played it yet.
Okay, so let's go from the bottom to the top since we've started here. So Spider-Man: The City That Never Sleeps. I've only seen the story of the first DLC, which is the Black Cat DLC, and it's very interesting, like plot-wise, because Black Cat is back and she's trying to steal stuff, and this entire award show is going to have spoilers for stuff that was released this year.
Yeah, and a lot of conjecture for stuff that we haven't watched or played.
So please keep that in mind if you don't want it spoiled. But yeah, so Black Cat is doing this, and Peter Parker's like, "Oh, I thought you gave this up. Why are you doing this?" And she basically says, "Oh, they've got my son." And Peter Parker's like, "What?" So he's trying to find out whether it could be his.
Oh.
Because in this canon, they used to be a thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And obviously that doesn't gel with Mary Jane, who is this person on the phone now.
Yeah.
So that creates a really interesting dynamic, and that really plays out well.
That's the thing. Even though I haven't played this, I'm assuming it's as well written and beautiful and amazing storytelling as the rest of the game.
Yeah, and there's new collectibles to collect,
new suits.
If
you get that's the thing. It feels like a good value DLC because it's split into like 3 different parts as well. So you buy the DLC and you get it once every month or something like that, and the last one has just been released.
Last one was released this month, yeah.
Where you get the Spider-Verse suit as well. I am going to be picking, but because of how appealing this looks, I'm going to be probably asking for some PlayStation money for Christmas or birthday, and then hopefully I shall be getting this DLC.
So yeah, no, I haven't seen the second or third part, but I mean it's an expansion to PS4 Spider-Man, so
Got to be good.
Yeah. So next up we have Battlefront 2's Clone Wars content, which you added to the list before it was released.
Yes, I did.
And you haven't played it yet.
I haven't played it yet. I've watched a lot of gameplay. Geonosis looks pretty sick.
I have seen pictures from Geonosis, yeah.
We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, General Grievous. They've been added as of this date. We've still got Anakin and Count Dooku to come, which is pretty good. And the thing about this as well is that it's not a DLC. Well, I mean, it is DLC, but it's not a paid DLC.
It's a free expansion.
It's a free expansion, which is part of the reason it's made it to this list as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, on the other hand, it is an expansion into what feels like a full game.
Yeah, it's expansion as to what content should have maybe been there from the get-go.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a lot more than the original Battlefront to start with. But it's not quite the same as, say, Spider-Man, where you get a full game and then you get a pretty decent, like...
And then you get extra on top of the game.
Exactly, yeah.
You get post-game content.
But from the Clone Wars stuff does look pretty good. I haven't mentioned on here, but the solo stuff was pretty good as well. Got Kessel, and they're really nice new environments with, like, interesting different takes on how you'd play the normal combat missions. And they added a few different missions as well for it. I feel like the developers definitely care about the customers a lot more than with the first Battlefront, and hence why it's got a little nom. Nom is the abbreviation of nomination, I should point that out from the
get. And then finally, A Hat in Time Seal the Deal was the first expansion to A Hat in Time, a game that I think I ranted and raved about last year, but did not win. We gave the Best Soundtrack Award to Cuphead, and Best Game Award went to something else. We did look at this right before we started recording, but we give out so many awards each year. But The Hat in Time Seal the Deal is an extra chapter onto the game called The Arctic Cruise, which is where the seal part of the name comes from.
Okay, cool.
And you're on it. Basically, the first episode is you getting on the cruise, and you got to, like, the cruise ship's a bit difficult to navigate at first, but using Hat Kid's ability to, like, find the objective and stuff like that, and you have to get around it so much you get a feel for it after a while. The second part is you are helping out as a helping hand on the ship, and that level took me so long to do because there are tasks popping up all around the cruise ship, and you have to do them all at a time.
Right.
So some of it is delivering food to tables, like taking like kids back to daycare, giving like drinks out in the bar on the front deck, and you're literally like running around full pace, like picking stuff up, giving.
Yeah.
And it like is really like tense.
Yeah, that sounds sick.
And it's really load of fun. And the third part of the chapter is, well, I've already said spoilers, but you crash the cruise ship because you're looking for one of the hourglasses, and you see it off the side of the boat, and you sneak down to the steering bit, and you steer very violently towards it, and you actually do this, and it cuts to black, and you've managed to tip the ship over. So you've got to go through a sinking ship saving people.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then get to that hourglass that you saw at the
I
beginning.
love, for what I've played of Hat in Time, I've absolutely loved it. And
So-
this sounds like a whole new, like, different, like, layer of that as well. So
And so that's only half the DLC, by the way. So the other half
okay.
is the deal part
Right.
of Seal the Deal, which is where it's called Death Wish mode.
Hmm.
And it's just super duper hard versions of the game's levels up to that point. Like, there's the lava level, but the heat is actually going to cause you heat exhaustion unless you jump in water frequently, and the water's in like little barrels, like very spaced out. So you need to do the exact same mission, but you need to keep on going back to water, and otherwise you'll die.
right, yeah.
And like different rifts, and like there's one where you fight like multiple bosses at the same time, and you have very little health. And like it's just like remixes of old missions, but they've been added. They're so difficult, and like it just adds extra challenges and stuff to the game.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I really really enjoyed it. So yeah,
Now we have to vote on a winner.
well, I think it probably won't be a surprise that I'm going to be a Hat in Time.
If I had to spend my money, it would probably go on The City That Never Sleeps. That means we have to flip a coin.
And we didn't get one out before recording, did we?
Can I download an app?
A coin flip app.
There's probably a coin flip app.
It'd probably be quicker for me just to grab my wallet that's
Yeah,
a
but
metre
we're
away.
technology people.
My wallet is literally there.
Flip a clip. No, not a clip, a coin. Flip a coin app. There's in-app
Why?
purchases. There's in-app purchases. Maybe this is going to be the best DLC.
Oh god, we got a late contender for best game.
Coin flip 3D or flip a coin app. Let's go flip a coin app. Do you want to talk any more about Hat in Time?
The base game's real good. Actually, with regards to Hat in Time, in about February, on the YouTube channel, there'll be a Hat in Time Let's Play starting with me and Vicky, who was the host for the Batman quiz at the beginning of this season. We've recorded a good number of episodes because we have to record in bulk because we don't see each other as much as we'd like. And it's real good. It's a real good series, and obviously it's a series of a real good game.
Mm.
So do check that out when it comes out.
And it's on. It came to PS4 recently-ish as well, didn't it?
So yeah, it's come to PS4, it's on Xbox One, and it's getting a Switch release soon as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get it on PS4. Where can I get it?
So you can get it on the PS4 store.
Nice.
It's only digital. And we have a coin flip app.
We have a coin flip app. Hang on, I just need to multitask my... There we go.
So we're going to have to do
What do you fancy?
heads for a Hat in Time, because hats go on the head.
That's true. How do I multitask? Oh, not technology at all.
I mean, I've got the awards list open, so you can just have the coin.
Okay, right. So, heads for hat.
Yeah.
Oh, this takes a while. And the winner of the best expansion is...
Spider-Man PS4, The City That Never Sleeps. We've just sent the award to Manhattan. So anyway, now we've got one with a decent number of nominees, which is good or bad, depending on your perspective. The next... Oh, so I think it's your turn, isn't it?
Oh, right, yes. This is going to be a good one. The Most Spectacular Fuck Up is one of my favourite awards we do.
Yep.
Basically, we just go over what usually the studios or like the production companies have done in order to fuck up something they've done, basically.
Yeah. It's either throwing away an easy win or just doing something incredibly stupid.
And the nominees are...
2K Games telling Danish people to tell their politicians that loot boxes aren't gambling. And mixed in with this is EA being so convinced that loot boxes aren't gambling, they're going to court over it.
Dark Phoenix. Well, actually, this goes to 20th Century Fox for pushing back Dark Phoenix 3 months after the marketing had just begun. This was the day after the first poster and trailer reveals and stuff had come out. They decided to push the film back and change all the posters within a week to have the new date on it.
This one is kind of a fuck up, kind of just bad behaviour, but the bosses and owners of Telltale Games for keeping their workers working until 3 a.m. in the morning, even though they knew they were getting made redundant. Which is just a bad thing to do.
Disney firing James Gunn over controversial tweets from way back when.
Rockstar Games bragging about working 100-hour weeks for it to backfire spectacularly.
And Fallout 76 and Bethesda's Amateur Hour.
If you've been listening to the podcast this season, you've been getting the play-by-play most weeks. So, am I going to go over the gaming ones and you're going to go over the...
Go, bottom to top, starting with the gaming ones.
Right, so the Fallout 76 and Bethesda one hopefully doesn't need too much of an explanation if you've been listening week on week. Basically, they wanted to make a mass multiplayer version of what is traditionally a single-player RPG. It's not been received well. They advertised that canvas bags would be coming with a $200 pre-order, and they were nylon bags that were a lot cheaper and a lot worse. So people are complaining about that. Then when they said, okay, if you raise a ticket with our customer support, we will make sure you get a canvas bag, they had a data leak, and everyone who raised a ticket with customer support could view everyone else's tickets with customer support. And their response to it has been their promises and the lead up of making it sound a lot better than it actually was. It's just been front to back a bit of a nightmare.
Sounds it.
As we're going up, shall I continue talking about the gaming ones?
Yeah, let's go.
So the Telltale ones and Rockstar ones are in the same vein of crunch, which was we talked about in the first episode of the series. See, Telltale Games was a terrible thing to happen, and it is just a messed up thing of the bosses to keep their workers working till so early in the morning if they knew that things were going to go under.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rockstar coming in the aftermath of this and bragging about how much their workers were working, only to have to backpedal massively. Kind of, those two kind of riff with each other. Well, those two are linked to each other, but they're definitely separate entries.
Rockstar being like, oh yeah, you thought you pushed your employees.
They're like,
guess how much we pushed our employees.
We worked so hard, we worked 100-hour weeks. And they're like, oh, those poor workers at Telltale. Which is, it should not be a badge of honour to say that you worked a 100-hour week. Just shouldn't. And finally, EA getting nominated for, I think, is their 3rd time in 3 years over doing something EA.
Yeah.
But this would be a shared win by 2K and EA if they won. About the fact that Europe have pushed back and said that yes, loot boxes are gambling. These games will not be able to be sold unless you take the mechanics out. And other games just complying, taking the stuff out. And 2K taking it one step by saying to people, contact your politicians and tell them, pretty please, it's not loot boxes. Please let us keep loot boxes. Sorry, loot boxes aren't gambling. Please let us keep them. And EA going so hard as to dig their heels and be like, no, they're not. We'll go to court with you over this. Obviously, we've not had that's not had any outcome or anything yet, but imagine going to court that are like wanting to have loot boxes in your game that much after all the controversy you've already had as a company because of them.
Yeah.
That you're willing to go to the law.
Potentially losing more money than you would have by not having the loot boxes in there in the first place.
Yeah.
So Disney firing James Gunn's an interesting one because, like, I don't still really know how to feel about this. I feel, it's not great, especially the way it was conceived because it was some, like, massive right-winger, like...
It was because he was being critical politically.
So he got dug up. He really dug it out, like, and you don't know you don't know what you've tweeted in the past. Like, I don't know what I've ever put on social media for the beginning of time kind of thing.
Yeah, and these had already been raised, and he'd already apologised for them.
Yeah, but before this was even brought up.
Yeah. So it had already been brought up and addressed, and a lot of the response was, yeah, well, he's grown and changed as a person, which you have to allow.
And he has. Exactly. The other side of it, he was still an adult man, saying
posting those things,
really horrible things,
posting some really, really tasteless jokes and horrible comments.
Yeah.
And then there's the flip side that he's now been hired by DC, hasn't he? To do Suicide Squad.
Potentially, but he's also doing this. I don't know if it's Warner Brothers. He's producing like this independent horror version of Superman, which actually looks really interesting. I didn't talk about it.
So, and now Disney have gotten to the point where they've had to delay Guardians 3 because...
Potentially, yeah, indefinitely.
Yeah.
Because I think Doctor Strange might have now slipped into that spot. Doctor Strange 2, potentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, they might have lost some of their actors as well, because obviously Dave Bautista has been very vocal about very vocal about the whole incident. It's generally just not a very, very pleasant situation to be in.
No.
And yeah, Fox, the studio that do the X-Men films, technically they've been bought by Disney now, but they were wondering. It seems like they were wondering what to do with their in production X-Men films. So we've already had the trailer. This could come under most spectacular fuck up, but I think it was last year the trailer for New Mutants came out. Do you remember that one? The horror kind of. We don't need no.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's that. We don't know where that is. That film. And we're also Dark Phoenix. They've kind of lost a bit of their X-Men branding on it. It's just called Dark Phoenix in a lot of countries.
Okay.
And the day that they started ramping up the marketing and revealing the posters and the shots and stuff, it was pushed back by 3 months after, like, ceremoniously announcing the release date, only to have it pushed back. Yeah, so who knows when we'll be getting that now.
Yeah, and I don't know, looking at this list, the one I think is most deserving, it's usually the ones where it's like somebody tripping and falling, you know, it's like hubris driven more than... So, yeah. I'm tempted, well, part of me is tempted to say Fallout 76, part of me is tempted to say Dark Phoenix just because it's the funniest, part of me is tempted to say EA just because it'd be funny for them to get it again. Part
of me is going towards Rockstar bragging about the 100-hour weeks.
Yeah, because that seems like it's so tone deaf, doesn't it?
Yeah.
God, there's just so many good entries.
I know. And like, you can't always like necessarily give this award out just freely as well, because like you don't know how the lawsuit's going to go with EA.
Yeah,
you don't know. We don't know if Dark Phoenix is going to end up as a terrible thing. It might have really benefited from the pushbacks.
I'd be happy to say Rockstar Games, just because that was just such a big misstep and such a poor read of the room.
So,
I mean, it hasn't affected them. Red Dead Redemption still sold buckets, but
oh yeah, for sure.
But it was just...
All these companies will be fine after these fuck-ups. But the award for most spectacular fuck-up, it's for you, Rockstar.
Send it to Rockstar Games.
They're all asleep, though. Just crashed in their computers.
They're resting up for the next crunch. Anyway, that takes us on, smoothly, to Best Actress.
Oh yeah, it's a serious awards.
Yeah, we're on to the serious awards now, kind of. We've still got the most disappointing stuff, but those are serious awards as well. Anyway, Best Actress. So yeah, the nominees are Margot Robbie in I, Tonya,
Sarah Silverman in Ralph Breaks the Internet,
and Deborah Ann Wool in Daredevil Season 3.
Should we talk through those?
Yeah, so do you want to start?
Daredevil Season 3 was probably the best season of Daredevil to date. And we also saw an exploration of character of Karen in a way we haven't really in the first two series. And like up to the point in the finale where she officially becomes, again, spoilers for everything, she becomes part of the proper main team and joins up again with Nelson and Murdoch and their lawyer agency. And you really feel it's deserved by the end of that season, because you see a lot of character changes in that. You see how Karen is like adamant to save Matt Murdock's soul for like most of the season, and you see where she like loses it with him as well. Like that was a fantastic season with loads of characters, and I felt like all of them still managed to shine. There's a character called Nadeem who was really good. Karen still got like plenty of things to do in this season. Foggy got plenty to do. Just like one of the best balanced TV series I've seen this year, and I thought Karen was a standout of it. She got like her own dedicated like flashback episode, which I thought really added a lot to that character. And it, when certain things happen in that season, you can think back to that episode and be like, oh yeah, that, you can actually just see it in her facial expressions, how it's carried through.
So Sarah Silverman in Ralph Breaks the Internet plays Vanellope, and I just thought that it was really well performed because she had a lot to do in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the character goes through a lot of change. Obviously, he's very dissatisfied with her situation and wants to try and do other things. And I think there was a great range in kind of the lines that had to be performed, and like the happy, the sad, the disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well done. I think, yeah, there's not massive amounts to say about it. I think it expanded their character a lot, and I liked how it didn't just revert to status quo at the end of the film. So
Yeah.
she's got like new things going on.
It definitely felt like more of her film as well this time round.
Yeah, no, Ralph's was the first one, hers was the sequel. Although Ralph still had plenty to do, and
Yeah.
we'll probably come back to that film
Very
at
good
some
performance.
point. Yeah, it was a good performance.
Next up is Margot Robbie in I, Tonya, playing Tonya Harding, the Olympic ice skater. This was a really good film, and I always kind of wanted to see a bit more of what Margot Robbie could do, because we've spoken enough about Suicide Squad in the show, but don't really see enough of that range in her Harley Quinn. Even though she's probably one of the highlights of that film, it's because it's such a pretty piss poor script. You don't really get to see enough of it, and in I, Tonya, you really get to see how good a performer she is. Yeah, she works well alongside her supporting cast. She really sells it. Like, a vast range goes on in that film. It was actually one of the better ones this year.
Yeah, so out of those, who would your vote go for?
I'm going to put Margot Robbie as my vote.
I haven't seen any two out of the three of these, so I've got to say Sarah Silverman.
Sarah Silverman.
Heads for Margot Robbie.
Heads for Margot Robbie.
Tap to flip.
We're so digital.
Tails. So the award for Best Actress goes to Sarah Silverman for portrayal in Ralph Breaks the Internet. Well done. We just posted that online.
Nice. So the next category is Best Actor. Obviously, we'll be talking about who's stood out to us throughout this year. And the nominees are Josh Brolin in Everything,
John C. Reilly in Ralph Breaks the Internet,
and Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther.
So yeah, I think I added John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman to this list at the same time, just because I was just off the back of that movie. I was like, those are two very solid performances, and I still stand by that. But shall we talk about Michael B. Jordan and Black Panther?
Absolutely.
I thought it was really good. I think kind of that character's backstory through it, and kind of he's almost seems like he's the secondary villain at the beginning, doesn't he?
That's right, yeah, because Andy
you've got
Serkis is
Andy Serkis.
very, very over. I mean, not overplayed, but a very
Hammy
villain in Ulysses Claw, and he's great, obviously.
Yeah,
he always is. But then you get kind of like a very subtle start to end performance from Michael B. Jordan. That kind of like I that film has flaws. Like I don't think the CGI is particularly great for some reason. They kind of dropped the ball a bit on that one. But like his character arc and the writing and the way he like subtly sort of you see that journey unfold in front of you, even if you don't notice it at the beginning. And like there's no better actor that could have possibly sold that, really.
Yeah, no, very, very, very impressive. Michael B. Not sure there's too much more to say about John C. Reilly. I think he's actually been quite a lot of stuff recently.
Yeah.
Because he's come in and it's not out yet, I don't think, but that... is it Stan and
Ollie?
Stan and Ollie?
Yeah,
that looks pretty
the
good.
The Lauren and Hardy biopic.
And that, for some reason, that new Sherlock Holmes film as well. Have you seen the
trailer
trailer for that?
Oh, I have. Yeah, with Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been getting quite a lot of bit of work recently.
Yeah.
And well deserved. He's a good actor with a good range.
He is very good.
And
range.
obviously that's like...
Lauren and Hardy's going to... Stan and Ollie's going to be the real Oscar bait for him, isn't it? So.
Yeah, no, and to be honest, he's good enough that I think he could possibly get it.
Absolutely.
Yes, again, another really solid performance, building up good voice actor. He brings a lot of life and energy to the role and a lot of emotion behind it. I'm not really sure there's too much to say that hasn't been said when we're just talking about Sarah Silverman, to be honest.
No.
And then we get to Josh Brolin in literally everything he's been in this year.
If anything, even for not one solid performance, it's for the amount of effort he put in, going from the mad titan to a cyborg from the future to a leader in the war against drugs in Mexico. Like, he really put it all in this year, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I think going into this, I kind of knew who should win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because like ultimately, Infinity War, a lot was put on Thanos as a character who's kind of popped up in cameos in previous film. It would be the equivalent of just suddenly Stan Lee is the villain of like the next one kind of thing, and that you haven't really his appearances have been so brief that how could you possibly bring him into like a major role
and the thing
expect
is,
it to have as much stakes as it actually did.
and they framed the movie very much as like being the Thanos movie with everything else just happening around him. So he had to do a good job.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of the footage of him just in all this CG get up and stuff, and it is obviously his face still. And
Oh yeah, that's absolutely his performance, and he doesn't ham it up at all, despite the fact that he's a big purple man. The fact that people can actually have, I think I've probably had discussions with people who have tried to say like, oh yeah, he's got a pretty good point. To be fair, we are kind of overpopulated, and like he's clearly not written so much as like the villain of that film. Other than the fact that he does terrible things, but you can believe that he believes it, kind of thing, the whole way through.
Yeah, and he's not like a villain that's like massively angry and like. He's just pretty calm and collected. He's just got the force behind him. Yeah, and it's almost that fact that he has got the power, but also like kind of calm and collected about it. Like, absolutely, yeah. You see that in the very first scene when he fights the Hulk. Yeah. Is that the Hulk is trying to smash him, but he's actually doing like proper. Well, that's the thing as well. Fighting techniques.
He's not a natural killer. I mean, he does kill a lot of people, but like at the end, especially. But like when he's just facing like one-on-one people, he doesn't. You can see that he doesn't really give people the time of day. Kind of like he doesn't kill Quill initially because it's not his place to, kind of thing. Or at that moment anyway, because he's just like, I'm just doing a job here, and like, I'm not just going to be a hammy villain and kill people for the sake of it, kind of thing. That's the thing.
And also he's just like, he's like, who cares about you? You're so much beneath me. Yeah. And then just leaves and goes on to his next thing. He's just focused. Yeah. So yeah, I don't. Do we even need to vote?
Josh Brolin. If anything, for sheer quantity.
Well. And maintaining quality through the quantity.
Absolutely, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, the next up on our awards list is the best musical score for a game. So, soundtrack in a game that just, we like, really. So, I was going to say something more then, but it just went. Anyway, the nominees are Super Smash Bros. Ultimate,
Mega Man 11,
2 Point Hospital,
and Spider-Man PS4.
Do you want to start with talking about some Spider-Man?
Yes, it's an original score for the game. It's rather good. It's very
epic, isn't it? It's like a film score.
Exactly. Yeah. It sort of makes that game feel even more cinematic, and it's the cliche, but you've read on all the reviews and stuff that you feel like Spider-Man when you're playing this. Like, I feel like that's a very important part of why those reviewers said what they said, is because you're swinging around, and like when you're swinging, the music kind of reaches like into a crescendo, and when you're sort of on the ground, it's like gives it more of an emotional beat. And it's not the most like bombastic score, but it's not
the most in your face.
Yeah, but it kind of like it really enhances that experience of when you're trying to feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'd agree. So 2 Point Hospital is a game that came out this year, an indie game, almost like a spiritual sequel to Theme Hospital, a game from like the 90s, which was it's all about hospital sim where all the diseases are just like wacky and silly. And again, this isn't a soundtrack that's much in your face, but it's great in the background and just kind of it has echoes of Theme Hospital's soundtrack to it, but it's also just kind of like a bit zany and just a bit. It just like it makes you feel like a dog. No, but it's good in a different way, in that it just kind of is behind. Because obviously you're going to play a game like that for quite a long session sometimes, and just having like good themes that like go through, that like circle through, is just important. So yeah, I just thought the soundtrack was really good. These are like very different types of soundtrack I'm finding as we go through this, because Mega Man 11, it's obviously an action game. It's very electric. It's got a very electronic theme. Very, I want to say synthy. Is that the right kind of?
I had a go on it. Yeah, I really enjoyed the soundtrack for that.
Yeah,
that is a lot more in your face than the.
Yes, I think in our review we talked about the sound effects aren't amazing and the sound design, but the soundtrack I keep on finding myself going back and listening to, just because it's great accompanying music, and it like even hypes you up in certain bits. Like, it's not as environmental, but I think it just kind of it partners the game so well.
Yeah.
And it gives you it really matches the environments that you're in, but also has it's very consistent throughout as to like how it's designed from a soundtrack perspective. Yeah. And Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has over 800 tracks in it. And not saying that quantity wins, even though we almost made that argument in the last category. But the new theme tune, Lifelight, has actual vocals in it, both English and Japanese if you wanted the Japanese instead, or if, well, obviously you're playing the Japanese version of the game. And actually in an interview, Masahiro Sakurai, the director of the game, said that the reason it has vocals is because he's like, I was thinking about a way to make it even better, like the main theme even better than the one for Smash Brothers for Wii U, and that seemed like a good way to try and lift it above. Because actually Brawl had lyrics, but they were like in like Latin or something.
Latin or something.
Yeah, because you get the translation at the very end, and it's all to do with like fighting. But yeah, no, when that song was first announced, I just listened to it on repeat, and the new remixes that have come in, especially the Castlevania ones, that series in general has like so much good music to it. It almost feels like a cheat to nominate Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Best Soundtrack, because it has loads of other great soundtracks in it. And you can also use your Switch as a music player when it's in sleep mode to listen to this music. And yeah, there's just so many good new remixes from across all the series that are represented. But the actual core theme, I think, is probably my favourite of all the Smash themes. And like in the menu music and stuff like that as well. It just genuinely, like when I first got the game, just genuinely made me happy to listen to as I was playing. And like, yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Who would you nominate?
Smash Bros.
I think I'd actually go Mega Man. I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, because of how much I listened to the main theme of Mega Man 11, and just how much it was an earworm for me, I'm tempted actually to say that Smash Bros. It feels better to nominate Mega Man, because Smash Bros. Is just a culmination of tons of music. So actually, I'd go with that as well.
I don't need to. I can close my flip coin app.
Yeah, because we've come to an actual agreement.
Obviously, all of our nominees
are great.
Are amazing.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be nominated.
Apart from the nominations for the bad categories.
Yeah, then they're bad.
They're bad.
So yeah, the award for best soundtrack in a game goes to Mega Man 11. Genuinely well deserved.
Which brings us on to best soundtrack for TV and film. And the nominees are Doctor Who Season 11 by new composer Segun Akinola.
Black Panther, which was composed by various, but it includes Ludwig Göransson and Kendrick Lamar on its soundtrack.
And Into the Spider-Verse, also a compilation of various artists, including Daniel Pemberton, Vince Staples, Post Malone, pretty much everyone, actually, on that soundtrack.
Yeah, this is a very good category again, because I suppose going from bottom up, like we have been, into the Spider-Verse, just...
I was listening to it on the way here, actually. I cannot get enough of that.
And I noticed when we were listening back to soundtracks, like, just to remind ourselves ahead of this show, we did keep it on Into the Spider-Verse for quite a while listening to it.
Yeah.
Just naturally, we're like...
Well, that's the thing. It's got a great soundtrack of, like, lyrical music that was, like, used in the film and stuff like that. And then the score itself was also really good. Like, hey, you know the story, Spider-Man kind of scenes, you know, that keep playing. It keeps going back.
It accompanies it really well.
Exactly. So, like, yeah, Daniel Pemberton's a really good composer, and that really accompanied it. But, like, those, even going back to the first trailer, you had that Vince Staples song, I forgot what it's called, but then, like, the Post Malone Sunflower in the credits. Like, the song's even just accompanying it, and in the film as well, What's Up Danger is, like, an incredible sound. Just like, God, I love that film.
So Black Panther, I like the soundtrack because how well it fit.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's based around like an African nation, and
yes,
the choice of instruments.
I was going to say
the atmospheric.
They use some different instruments, especially to what we've heard in Marvel films.
Yeah, different from Marvel films, different from your stereotypical action films.
Yeah.
It felt like a good care and attention was taken into making the sound genuine but appropriate.
That's one of the only themes that carried on into Infinity War. Actually, I noticed, because they didn't use the Iron. There's not a definitive Iron Man theme that they used in it. There's not a definitive Captain America. There's the Avengers theme, and then when they say we're going to Wakanda, they play the and that just really sort of plays prominence to how
how distinct
compared to the other stuff.
Yeah, how much it stands above other MCU.
I can't hum anything other than like the Avengers theme and it's just like really good.
And the Avengers one, you could argue it's because we're now on the third film, and it always has the same da 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 da
exactly
in some variation.
And the Kendrick Lamar soundtrack as well. A couple of songs we used in the film, All the Stars, and Pray For Me is the other one as well. Yes, the Weeknd song, isn't it? Yeah, they were really good as well. Great produced album, actually. It's one of those albums you can listen to even if you're not like a comic book fan as well.
I think that is the important thing about these soundtracks we've been talking about, is that actually you could probably enjoy them even if you knew nothing about where they came from.
Yeah.
And that goes across both categories, I think.
No, exactly. And we're going to talk briefly about Season 11 of Doctor Who, because it was very different to what we've had.
Yeah, it's the first one not done by Murray Gold.
Yeah. And this guy's just done like mostly documentaries up until this point. And it was really cool to hear something a little bit more on the subtle side.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as bombastic as previous soundtracks.
Yeah.
Not like dun 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 dun.
And one I can always remember from my head is it's Song for 10, isn't it? Which has the actual lyrics to it. When I woke up today. When he's like first getting changed. But either way, we've both got songs from the Murray Gold era that we remember.
Yeah. And yet, like, I felt this really suited the season. If anything, like, even if there's nothing quite as like memorable, it suited the season's like sort of more kind of minimalist tone,
and its general like approach and direction and vision. Like,
and I feel like it helps. Yeah, I feel like it helped sell to a lot of people who were cynical about having a female doctor as well. Like, there's the moment in the very first episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, where she says, "I'm the doctor," and the accompanying bit of music, it swells, and it really sort of like, that's the point where I was like, yes, you are the doctor. And
yes, you are.
That was really thanks to the music and in that part, and obviously Jodie Whittaker's fantastic as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Into the Spider-Verse.
I'm going to agree.
Nice.
It was a good pool. These were three good nominees.
Absolutely.
But Into the Spider-Verse. Again, we sent it to Manhattan. Now we move on to most disappointing game, and actually it shows what a good year for games this has been. That there is only one nominee, and that is Fallout 76, because of the situation surrounding its release and the bad servers at launch, and it was just it was not ready to launch, and it's just like that game keeps on falling on its face, and it has so many buggy mechanics, so many like mechanics that work well in single player that don't work, and just all in all, it was just, and that's why we use disappointing, not worst, is because actually it's quite disappointing that a seasoned developer would release something like this,
and it probably will get a lot better, sort of a bit into
it will do a No Man's Sky and get better over time, but like reviews are released when a game launches, not when a game is finished in quotes, and a first impression can last forever if done wrong. So yeah, it's not with much joy at all that I award the most disappointing game of the year award to Fallout 76. I guess we're clapping. Well done, Bethesda.
Which moves us on to most disappointing film/TV, and the nominees are Solo: A Star Wars Story,
Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald,
and Disenchantment.
Should probably say Season 1.
Season 1.
So
let's talk about
Disenchantment,
then Solo.
So Disenchantment is a TV show being produced by the people who originally created The Simpsons and Futurama, two of arguably the best animated series to ever exist. It had very strong pedigree behind it, and it had some very strong actors in it, and yet the result was a rather mediocre series.
I think again, we're using disappointing, we're not using worst.
Yeah,
because initially as well, what really got me was those first couple of episodes. I looked at it, and from the trailer and stuff, I was like, brilliant. This is going to be like road trip kind of like.
Yeah.
Three like very disjointed characters like in a situation together.
It looked like it's going to be some kind of storyline that. Well, I mean, there is a storyline, but it seems to.
They're all running away from destiny, kind of thing, and like the voice cast of Matt Berry as well, and I really enjoyed those first couple of episodes, and then Matt Berry's gone.
Yeah, he just kind of moved off to the side, and only appears a little bit.
And every episode suddenly turns into based around the castle, pretty much. Yeah,
it becomes it reverts to the status quo every episode after that setup of it basically being, I don't want the status quo.
Yeah,
by the end of the series, it starts to get a little interesting, but by then I was just so checked out. I just didn't care. Yeah. It felt like a slog to get to the end.
Yeah, I was really excited for like more in that vein of like a really disjointed road trip with three really off weird characters who shouldn't be with each other kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was really geared up to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And
also, like, I didn't really like Elfo through the entire thing. I think the final episode sets up something interesting for the future, and I'll probably check out Season 2, but if Season 2 does the same as the first season, has an interesting first episode, and then goes straight back to the status quo, I'm going to possibly be like, nah, I can't be asked.
But again, we're not saying worse, because there were some really funny bits.
And also, we didn't see everything in a year, so it feels harsh calling something the worst.
The bit where they visit the sirens, and Matt Berry's character is very attracted to a group of walruses.
Yeah.
that is honestly one of the funniest TV moments I've seen this year.
And that's the thing, it does have good moments in it.
Yeah.
But they're just not enough.
The actual premise itself, the actual structure itself is just a little bit weak.
And yeah, it's just not what we've come to expect from the pedigree that was working on it.
Solo, a Star Wars story, we keep forgetting happened.
Yeah.
This year.
And I saw an interesting comment the other day, is like, imagine how much better that film would have done if it was releasing like around now instead. I think,
yeah, for sure.
Like, why? Like, it didn't need to come out in May.
Well, it's because they had Mary Poppins. It's the same distributor, isn't it?
I'm not even. I think they were hoping that after the Last Jedi they'd be able to like just bounce another one off on the success. I honestly don't think they thought the Last Jedi would be as received as
No, that's definitely,
questionably received as it was. Because some people loved it. I thought it was.
But they didn't start the marketing till after Last Jedi, so they could have just
delayed it.
bumped it to December.
But then, is that then like giving in to the I don't know. I don't know why you'd have two Star Wars films 6 months apart.
No.
Really
took. Yeah, that's the thing. Is that it's a bit unfair because it came out when it did, and it felt like not an event at all. Like the least eventful Star Wars thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I kind of went to see it and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I've seen it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it doesn't even compare to Rogue One.
No,
like the other non.
Yeah, Rogue One
series.
felt exciting and like an event.
And the thing is,
this was also a film that was in development. Nearly like quite a bit of it was shot, and then it was suddenly U-turned into a very, very standard film.
And an Imperial officer gave him his surname.
Yes, which kind of sucked.
Which, yeah, it's just very strange decision making in that film.
Again, not actually a bad film.
And yet it still had sequel bait in it.
Yes, it did, didn't it?
And a very strange Darth Maul cameo.
That's the thing, is that I didn't even get excited about that because
I was just like, why?
In fact, it could have gone in most spectacular fuck up actually. This because earlier in the year we saw the other death of Darth Maul. Spoilers, by the way, but you know he'd be dead by now anyway. This is a long time ago. So spoilers for Star Wars Rebels. You see Darth Maul die
the final
time
in the confrontation with Obi-Wan,
and it was really good.
It was really good. That clip I've watched a few times. I don't even watch Star Wars Rebels.
And then to like unceremoniously popping at the end of a very bland movie to be like, oh well, he's back for more again.
Yeah, it seems like they were for some reason thinking that there would be a sequel.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the good thing about these Star Wars standalone films is that they stand alone.
Yeah.
They are self-contained stories.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just like
there.
It was kind of unfortunate in its kind of placement and its kind of background, like behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it just didn't live up to the expectations. It still probably wasn't the worst Star Wars film. It might be similar to Aquaman, in that there are definitely worse Star Wars films, but I'd probably watch those over Solo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Anyway,
so now brings us
to Fantastic Beasts 2.
We won't. It was only a couple of episodes ago, so we're not going to.
I was going to say, if you want to hear us go into this at length, then it was a few episodes
ago. We're so burnt out about it. I can't even be bothered to say another word about it.
Yeah,
like it's bad.
It is so bad. It's such a mess. Of a film. And there's going to be 3 more.
Yeah.
Oh, I really hope they get released in like either peak summer or just somewhere where we're not podcasting, so we don't feel even a little obliged to go see them.
So yeah, that's the winner, isn't it?
Yeah, Fantastic Beasts wins this award by a country mile.
I'm not even going to clap it.
No. Go home and think about what you did.
Just don't give it any attention, like a naughty child.
So now we're into the final 4 categories, which are all best categories. So this is positive. We're going to end strong. The first of which is best game, and the nominees are 2 Point Hospital,
Spider-Man PS4,
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate,
Dragon Ball Fighter Z,
just
Fighters,
and Overcooked 2. So, some of these games we were just playing today to get like a grip to it. So I'm going to go... Should we go from the bottom?
Yeah.
So Overcooked 2 is a cooking game, and it's meant to be like a party game, but oh my, was that stressful.
That was the most stressful game out of all of these. Like,
a
lot of these are quite adult kind of games.
And this one is a cutesy one where it's a cooking aesthetic.
Very
and the story is very
family
wacky.
orientated kind of thing. But
it won Best Family Game at the Game Awards.
But it's very, very, very stressful.
It is nuts. Like, bear in mind, this game is great fun. We were playing co-op, 2 of us in a kitchen, preparing food, getting orders out.
It's hospitality.
It's hospitality.
Turned up to like 11.
And you got all those orders in the top corner. Slowly, the time is shortening, and you're like freaking out, and you're like, "No, I need more of that ingredient."
Yeah.
And it's just so good.
It's pretty good, and I like the design of everything as well. Interesting premise.
Yeah.
We played about 20 minutes of it.
I think we played about half an hour, 40 minutes.
Maybe. And there's some the living bread. Is it
the
unbread?
The unbread. Of bread zombies that have come back, and you've got to go away and do a quest to try and find a way to defeat the bread zombies.
He has to make some more food, learn some new recipes,
so that we can feed these bread zombies. So hopefully they'll go back to being dead.
It's very imaginative.
Yeah, it's very silly,
but it's very nice.
Yeah,
nice to play. It's a nice little dynamic when you're driving the little bus. You're driving a little coach bus of two old chef women.
Yeah, that's the starter costume is like an old lady. So we're two little old ladies arguing in a kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's just fun, and it's a game I could see myself coming to with plenty of people when they come around. Just be like, here, have a controller.
Yeah.
It works very well on the Switch of small controllers as well.
Even on the little ones.
Some games don't.
Yeah. I mean, maybe lost a little accuracy.
Possibly.
But, it was really good fun.
So Dragon Ball Fighters
Fighter-Z.
Is just a real good traditional fighting game created by Arc System Works, who have created quite a few good fighting games in the last few years. It's cel-shaded, kind of almost cartoon, like manga-esque graphics make it look amazing. It's a very good game. It's like fun to play. Like the beam struggles feel like epic, and you can like kick people into mountains and make explosions. The story is a bit fan servicey. Only you can help the Dragon Ball fighters. Now you're part of one of their friends too. It's kind of close to the build your own character stuff from the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games. And look, you're in the story, which I don't know why Dragon Ball games have a big love of, because I don't care. I'm just happy to play it.
Yeah.
The characters all feel like interesting and have like distinct moves. There's a lot of callbacks to the series. It's just a very solid fighting game, and it's getting a lot of competitive play, which is usually a good sign for a good fighting game, because like the pros will pick it up. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we talked about this a bit before, but like 70-something characters and over 100 stages. It's
Smash Bros. Feels like an evolution of the fighting game, as opposed because we kind of played them back to back nearly. And Dragon Ball Fighter is a great like back to basics
traditional.
Exactly. This Smash Bros. Ultimate there's so many new elements, but because I think it works so well if you've played previous ones and you notice all the new stuff and characters.
But even you hadn't played old ones, and you were like, "This is like so much content." So much stuff. Yeah,
for sure. Like there's a little like mini map which you can walk around like Pokemon style, where you can like
fight people.
Like
it's the story mode. Or the adventure mode.
It's a big ass game.
And there's just so much to it, and it's getting even more like characters as DLC, but like I can't think of another game with like that many characters where each of them feels so distinct. Like we could have sat there and played for hours with different combinations of characters and different levels each time. It really was just such a complete package, whereas so many games, especially with that story of what Street Fighter 5 Arcade, having to have like in-game ads, and then it's got like DLC on top, and like and this is just like
have it all.
Like I'm getting the DLC because I want the DLC because the characters sound interesting. I don't feel obliged to get it because the game doesn't feel complete without it.
You're nowhere near doing any of it. Like
no, I haven't even unlocked all the characters yet, and I've owned the game for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It is so much fun. It's so much fun with anyone. It's a pick up and play game. Yeah, big old Super Smash Bros. Fan. But if you've been watching this show, it's not a surprise.
Spider-Man PS4, because it's really good. It's just a big old New York game, and there's plenty to it. It's a really good Peter Parker story. It's a really good Spider-Man story. it sets up things more excitingly than Venom does. Like, I think I'd much rather... Spoilers as well. You get a little nod towards the symbiote at the end, and I'm way more excited for that than I am about any of the Venom live-action symbiote stuff.
And that's the thing. It feels like a very full world, and like the gameplay is paced in such a way that you don't get burned out on being Spider-Man, because there's frequent periods where you're either Peter Parker or you're one of his entourage.
Yes.
Doing something on two legs, so that when you go and be Spider-Man again, you've had that little break.
Yeah, that's it.
And like, there is so many collectibles, so much to do, and swinging is just fun.
Swinging is just fun, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
really, really good game.
And the combat seems intuitive, even though when I played I was terrible at it. And like, there's like the upgrade trees and like the unlockable suits.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a little bit Arkham-y, the combat and like the stealth and stuff like that. But yeah, playing all those suits is great. They've just unveiled the Raimi suit, which I'm really excited to go and have a go on.
Yeah.
It's really just it feels like a game made by people who really, really care.
Yeah, and you can tell that when the pitch to Insomniac was, we want you to make like a game on a Marvel property, but as if it's like a first party Sony game, that they like really got behind the idea. And like they really went for it. It feels like a first party game. Like it feels like a game that you would set. Well, it's a game that has sold people on the PS4. So
yeah.
It like, well, you already had your PS4, but you're like, I'm glad I got one.
Yeah, literally.
It is a system selling game.
Absolutely, yeah.
And 2 Point Hospital, I've spoken about earlier. Hospital Sim, lot of fun. It's very kooky, very wacky. Can get very stressful at times when you've got a lot going on. And it's just a nice comedy game. It's very well made, very well designed. It's got a lot of quality of life improvements, showing what we've learned about game design over since Theme Hospital in the 90s, which is something I always appreciate in spiritual sequels, because it'd be so easy just to make the same thing again with updated graphics.
Yeah.
Ukulele. And then like bringing those like new designs and it's just very, very, very solid experience. So yeah, we used to do best indie game, but we don't anymore. So technically, I guess there's 2 indie games in here, which is Overcooked and 2 Point.
Mm-hmm.
If we were doing indie, I'd probably say Overcooked. And I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Stressful.
Yeah, for best game, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Smash Brothers. And I'm going to, will you be agreeing or will you saying Spider-Man?
You know what, I'm going to agree with you.
Smash Brothers Ultimate?
Smash Brothers.
Yep.
Very happy to give it to that.
So, Game of the Year, best game, goes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And very well deserved. Because, as I've said, it's been a very good year for gaming, I think. Like, there's been games for lots of people. Like, there are games that I haven't got around to playing this year that I still want to play. And obviously, for people who want their more serious games, there's obviously been God of War and Red Dead 2 as well. They're not really for me, which is why they're probably not really as much for you, which is probably why they didn't make this list. But yeah, no, it's been a really, really solid year for gaming. And that brings us to the end of all the gaming-based awards. And swiftly on, what is the next category?
Best superhero film!
So for the first year, we did this just as you doing a blog post. But now we bring it into the regular one so we can have a good old debate about
Absolutely. There's 2 best film categories. We'll come to the other one in a bit. But there's just enough good superhero films that we can actually do this as a full-blown
you wouldn't
thing now.
Even like 8 years ago, you wouldn't have.
No, definitely not.
10 years ago, it would have been unthinkable because, 2008 was Dark Knight, so that would have just won.
Yeah. 20 years ago, what would we have had? Blade, probably.
I was going to say the late 90s would there have been
that really bad Daredevil movie? I don't know.
Yeah, the
Well,
late
was
90s were not good for superhero films.
Or Superman films.
Or Superman
because
films.
there wasn't any. So the nominees are Avengers: Infinity Walkers, of course.
Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse, because of course.
And Black Panther, because it's pretty good as well.
Yeah, because of course.
Yeah.
So Black Panther, whilst it does a lot of superhero origin stuff with its story, and the final battle is Black Panther versus Black Panther, but the evil one.
Yeah.
Copying.
Yeah, despite all that,
So many
it felt
superhero
like
films.
actually a very big... It felt like a nice refresh into the MCU.
I only watched it recently, and I was surprised I liked it as much as I did. I was expecting it just to be
there.
Yeah. Because to be honest, like, I thought Doctor Strange was alright.
That's the thing. I felt like it was like a kind of nice gap, a nice bit of breathing room from like the generic big cities and
Yeah, like just
all the
giving
tech
it
looks the same in the other MCU films. And
giving it a new locale and a new look,
a new sound,
made it feel so much fresher.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman does, I think, a good job as Black Panther.
Yeah.
We've already said Michael B. Jordan does a fantastic job.
We've got like the supporting, like Letitia Wright as like one of the, like as Shuri.
Yeah,
and like
great supporting cast. And like it builds such a good world.
What's his name?
Martin Freeman.
He's pretty good. No, M'Baku.
Oh right,
One of the best supporting characters in a Marvel film. Gotta be, right?
Yeah. It's just it's very good. Its plot is very personal. Because I guess at the end of the day, whilst Iron Man was kind of personal because he was his mentor, but at the same time, and like we can go through all the 18 MCU films, or whatever. This was like a family situation. It felt very close.
Absolutely, and it shows as well when you do like introduce like a bit of diversity and a bit of like people do want to see it. Like this is like one of the biggest grossing Marvel films because like why do we want to see just another like white guy blowing up a building?
Yeah, a white guy in big generic city doing set pieces of car chases.
Yeah.
There was a set piece that was a car chase, but it was very good.
Yeah, and it was in Korea.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even like the supporting locations were like interesting.
Yeah. And that fight in the casino as well. Where it's like pretty much one shot. They go upstairs, they go downstairs. The music in that scene, like just everything about that scene could win best scene if that was a category. Like,
just really, really good.
We've talked about the other two.
We've talked about
full episodes.
For full episodes, so you can go back and listen to those. They're just damn good films as well. So nominate who.
I would have said until this month.
Until this month, it would have been Avengers and Infinity War, and I'd have said, "What are you talking about? Why is this a debate?"
Yeah.
But now,
Into the Spider-Verse might be my favourite. Might be one of my favourite films, and let alone like probably one of my favourite superhero films. Like I haven't come out the cinema feeling that like.
We both gave it a perfect score.
Yeah.
Because it was just so good.
Yeah.
So,
like even like a week on since we, over a week since we did the episode.
Yeah.
I still can't think of any real flaws.
Yeah, it was well paced. It was.
And talking about films that are like fresh, like it's very fresh. Like everything about it is just like, if you've been teetering on watching superhero films, then just watch this because
it's
so
such visually distinct.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes the most of its medium, and we could spend another like 20 minutes talking about
how good it was.
Yeah, we'd basically be going, oh, that bit was so good.
But that's not very interesting, is it?
No.
I'm going to give it to Into the Spider-Verse.
I'm not going to argue with you. So the award for Best Superhero Film for 2018 goes to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Very well deserved. You know what? It might have even hindered my judgment of Spider-Man PS4 because having watched Into the Spider-Verse, I'm thinking about Spider-Man PS4 and being like, yeah, I liked the story, but it was a very Peter Parker Spider-Man story. Like the villain is like connected to the family, and it treads a lot of ground. It's the fact that Into the Spider-Verse is like just bulldozed over all that like classic Spider-Man storytelling. And now I'm looking back at Spider-Man PS4 like, yeah.
Can you believe like even like 2 years ago if I said like we're going to be giving best superhero film to a Spider-Man film?
Yeah.
You'd have been like, nah.
Yeah.
And then Homecoming would have come out and you'd be like, maybe. Homecoming was alright, but it wasn't, best of the year. And you still wouldn't have believed it until you saw Into the Spider-Verse.
Amazing.
Yeah, well deserved.
Straight up amazing.
The penultimate award is for Best TV Show. So these have to be kind of good as a whole. We used to do best TV episode, but kind of got rid of that. We're just gonna. These shows have to be kind of back to back.
Yeah.
Pretty good to be nominated.
Exactly.
So the nominees are Doctor Who season 11,
Brackets. Finally. BoJack Horseman season 5.
and Daredevil season 3. So you've kind of talked about Daredevil a bit already.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anything more you want to add?
We went back to. I feel like it was a good like complete way of like finishing off that trilogy of seasons as well, because you go back to the black ninja suit and like the bad guy. There's a good visual imagery in that the bad guy kind of literally visually represents peak Daredevil, which is a really cool way of it, because obviously Poindexter Bullseye is wearing the Daredevil suit, the original red one, for quite a lot of it.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. And like you get the full on Kingpin, finally called Kingpin. It's just as gory, just as well written. Again, great supporting characters. Everyone gets fleshed out, and like the pacing of the season was just pretty fantastic. Music of the seasons always fantastic. Beautiful.
So BoJack Horseman season 5 is on here, and to be honest, it was only like last Christmas I first watched the show. If I'd watched it before then, you better believe BoJack Horseman season 4 would have been on that list. The show is just real good, and this was just another year of just insanity. It shows like issues of mental health and issues of like being rich and powerful in Hollywood so well. It has a whole episode that, if we were still doing best episode, would be nominated, because it is just Will Arnett as BoJack Horseman just giving a eulogy at a funeral, and it's just, well, obviously animation, so it's just one long shot. You gotta imagine how long it took him to record that. 'Cause it's just him.
One take. Yeah.
Stood there giving a monologue for 25 minutes, how long the episodes are. The plot goes to some weird and crazy places, and unlike most shows of its nature, where at the beginning of each season, the slate is wiped clean, he's carrying a lot of damage from the first 4 seasons, and a lot of it all comes to a head near the end. I'm not going to give any spoilers for it. It's just such a good show, and every time I think I binged the whole season in a day, and every time I went to say, okay, I'm going to take a break now, something would happen. It was very good with its plot cliffhangers that made you want to continue watching, because I just was like, no, I can't go now. Did help that I was a bit hungover though, so I was looking for something to be like on the sofa watching, and I just enjoyed it thoroughly the whole way through. And Doctor Who season 11. Yeah, good return to form,
Absolutely.
Back to basics kind of approach.
Exactly.
Some very, very standout episodes. I was talking before we were recording. Rosa is a standout for me.
Yeah, gorgeous episode.
That was such a well done episode, and it links into the characters at the end in such a interesting way.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I feel what might be lacking with this one, because we wrote this on after the first few episodes. We were like, yes, finally Doctor Who is consistently good again.
It had 1 or 2 meh episodes in the middle that weren't bad. They were just...
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the gap between, like, compared to the Moffat era, the gap...
The fluctuations were smaller.
Exactly, yeah. The heights might not have been as high, but the lows were, like, nowhere near as low.
Yeah, you were just like, at the end of a low was just...
yeah.
That was...
A low episode was one I would just pick up my phone at, like, occasionally. It wouldn't be like, this is appalling!
Yeah, it's not the kind of one where we'd, be chatting off Messenger or something later, like, that was terrible.
Yeah,
why were they thinking?
Yeah. But yeah, I think like one thing I did have against it is that like, can it be a best TV like show like season when there's not enough kind of overarching stories?
I don't know. I think a season of television which was just individual stories, but all of them were really good, could still win best. Because, I mean, they do enough work. They're doing regular award shows.
Yeah.
Like procedurals and stuff like that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So I don't think that's an issue holding it back at all. I think it took the history element to it to interesting new places. This felt more like science fiction than science fantasy, which I think is an important distinction, because what even is science fantasy? That's just, you don't want to call it magic.
Yeah.
And I think some of the Moffat stuff leaned too much into science fantasy, and that he knew what he wanted to have happen, and then we just hand wave away how. Whereas this goes back to like having stuff that's kind of grounded in actual science.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it felt pretty,
built well,
pretty real.
And it's developed well, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Saying that, my vote is still going to go for BoJack Horseman.
And mine's going to go for Daredevil.
So we're going to have to flip that coin.
Open up the app.
We didn't give a head or tails.
Oh, shit. Well, it's heads. Heads is the winner. Should we say horses have tails?
Sure, horses have tails.
It's heads.
So, award for Best TV Show of 2018 goes to Daredevil Season 3.
I really think you should check that out on Netflix.
It's on my list.
Kicks off the next category.
And finally, the final award that we finally gotten to is Best Film, brackets, non-superhero. And we kind of... I think it's because we didn't want to like drown out non-superhero films, because we're a podcast that does focus on them a lot in popular culture. We still wanted to bring focus to films that were more traditional and did interesting things in other ways. So it felt... I think it still makes sense to have them in two separate categories.
And like I've got the films on here as well, which aren't like pretentious artsy films that are going to be like... I mean, I'm sure like a lot of it will be sort of Oscar worthy and stuff like that, but I'm not just going to put like some period piece on there.
Yeah, we're not...
Where Daniel Day-Lewis got into character by living in a bin for 4 months or something like that. I'm putting films that like we would enjoy kind of thing as part of this ongoing podcast anyway.
So I've not actually seen any of the nominees. I'm trusting Nick. But the nominees are Suspiria,
I, Tonya,
and Black Klansman. So you're going to have to take us through all of those.
I'm going to have to talk about
Take me on a word journey.
Black Klansman was really good and a very relevant film. It stars Adam Driver, who you'll know as Kylo Ren, and he works alongside a cop, a black cop who infiltrates the KKK, basically. It's based on a true story, based on the memoirs of... I can't remember the name. I should have all the details here. It's hard when I'm doing this just me. But it's a very touching story. It really sort of does put in perspective like a lot of like the big issues that have come along, especially in the modern day. Like it's still like a very relevant film. The opening and the closing scenes actually touch upon like the real world and stuff and what's still happening out there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as a filmmaking point of view, it's very well acted, very well directed, really good soundtrack. Really, really, really good one. I, Tonya, again, I spoke about that a little bit earlier. Margot Robbie stars as Tonya Harding. It gives a bit of perspective about the media. It kind of tells things through like different points of view throughout the film. It's kind of shot like a mockumentary at times, but it jumps genre into like full-blown drama. It's funny, which is great. Oh, another thing about all of these films is that they're sort of they're not all tonally bleak the whole way through. There's stuff you can laugh at. And I, Tonya, I feel like hits that balance probably the best out of these three films in terms of tone. Suspiria, I spoke about it on Don't At Me a few weeks ago. It's a modern day horror film. I really like how it kind of drops a lot of the pretense of modern horror, because it's not just like a generic demon possession. It's got a bit of imagination about it. It's based on books from like the 70s, and you just go in the film and they're like, oh yeah, these guys are witches, and there's no sort of pretense around it. It's straight to it, and it's a really well directed, very spooky film. And the winner I'm going to give to I, Tonya.
Well, my vote goes for... No, I concede to you because I haven't seen them.
If you're going to watch a film this year that isn't superhero-y or something, I don't know, if something a bit out there that you wouldn't perhaps normally watch, I, Tonya is a really fantastic film, and I think you'd enjoy it. Again, if you liked Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, because she was one of the best bits about it, then give it a go. I think everyone, all the listeners of this would really enjoy it.
Good recommendation. And well deserved by I, Tonya.
Congratulations to all our winners, except
the ones that won Battle Awards.
The ones that won Battle Awards, and
There,
especially Fantastic Beasts, because it sucked ass.
Yeah, Fantastic Beasts. Oh god, I don't want to see you on this list again.
Go back and think about what you've done. But yeah, pretty much wraps us up. Are we gonna put a jingle in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that pretty much wraps us up for this run of podcasts. We've been going for the last 8 weeks, more or less.
Yeah.
We've discussed some Mega Mans. We've done a Batman quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Looked at some Spider-Man, some Aquaman, some Endgame trailer. Trying to remember all our topics.
Smash Brothers
Ultimate. Yeah, and I think it's been a really fun set of episodes to do. I think there's been a lot of interesting stuff in the news, and I think going into next year there should be some interesting stuff for when we come back for the second half of this season, starting in end of April.
End of April now.
And yeah, because of obviously Avengers Endgame that we're going to go see when it comes out. In the time between seasons, we've still got our weekly Friday Let's Play of Harry Potter Years 1 to whatever. That will be going on to at least mid-January, but you can get updates on that and all our other programming by following us at CynOpt Podcast.
And we'll occasionally keep it up to date with the odd joke, the odd news story on there.
Yeah, if there's a big story that happens between seasons, we'll probably be tweeting about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can follow me at Hadowink.
Me at Mick Nortimer.
If you are following us on iTunes and you've enjoyed this first half of Season 4, please give us a rating and share it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's always you can follow us on SoundCloud, and you can subscribe to the Hadowink YouTube channel, where there is still versions of this show going up there as well.
If you're more an analog kind of guy.
Analog. Sure. But yeah, until next time, I've been Phill.
And I have been Nick.
Have a very nice couple of months, and we'll be back before you know it.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!